Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's July 2nd, 2018. We're in the midst of a heat wave. It's currently 95 degrees Fahrenheit at this time. Heat index is 115 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm out in this central garden bed. And I'll post a link in the upper right-hand corner to laying the weed mat down in this area. And there's drip irrigation below the weed mat. Now this weed mat's different than the other weed mat that we've done in the past, with the exception of our blueberry patch and our watermelons that we did last year. In that this weed mat, when we laid it down, doesn't have holes in it. It goes right up against the plants. And one of the questions I've always wondered about, and I'm sure some of you have wondered about, is that these black weed mats that are going to absorb the solar radiation and heat up, how much injury does that do to the plants? I'm still not 100% certain yet, but it took me time to find my infrared thermometer, and I did find that. And so up until today or yesterday, I would say that I don't think if the transplants are healthy enough, in other words, they've got a good mature stem where they're standing upright, and you put the weed mats down the way that we've done them, I think I would say yesterday, there's not much chance that it's going to damage the transplants. I'm going to modify that today based on what I'm seeing. The plants that I've seen that have gotten injured in this up until today when I've split open the weed mats and separated them, I could see lots and lots of groups of millipedes and pill bugs. And they're both vegan consumers, so they're going to eat, and they tend to eat this circumferential ring. They eat around the outer part of the stem, which decreases the flow of nutrients and water to the leaf surface, so that photosynthesis can take place, and it can restore nutrients down to the root systems, the xylem and phloem. So that is a big issue. Now, is it because of the thermal damage or not? Well, I'm still not 100% clear, but I'm going to turn the camera around and show you what I found so far. It's 158 degrees Fahrenheit, 159 degrees, looking at the weed mat itself. This is a row of bell peppers down this row, and I'm just shooting at the weed mat. Okay, right now looking at the surface of the weed mat, we're a little over 160 degrees Fahrenheit, almost 165 degrees. If we go in between the mats, it's much less. And we'll shoot a spot over here at the wood chips. So here we are at 132 degrees, and again the heat index right now is 115. The thermometer, and the lowest thermometer reading we have outside in our shaded area, is 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So these tomatoes look really good. Let's look at the peppers. So some of these peppers look really good. But you can see there's some that aren't looking so good. Let's look at some of these other tomatoes over here. Looking pretty good. And look at the base of the tomatoes, where they're emerging through the weed mat. So the weed mat actually touches them, but this weed mat material, this DeWitt weed mat material, is made up of several different layers. And the undermost surface layer is a fibrous tissue, which decreases contact. It increases surface area of the underside of the weed mat, which decreases surface contact with the stem of the tomato plant. So at the base of this pepper plant, you could see that the upper part of the pepper plant has been damaged. There's not moisture getting up, the water isn't getting up to the upper part of the plant, but the pepper's starting to take off again. And there is an area where the mat, even the underside of the mat, has been touching right there. So I think that this did do some damage to the system. Same thing right over here. So it's the same thing. You see that the transfer of nutrients, whether it's water or sugars coming down from the plant, are no longer capable because the entire circumference of the stem has been injured, and it looks like it's related to the contact with the mat. So the short answer to the question, can black weed mat fabric as a weed barrier, can that damage the plants on really hot sunny days? The short answer is yes, if you have the weed mat coming in contact with the plants themselves at the base. The weed mat that's come in contact, even the drip tape, the black drip tape, those items, those objects that are black will absorb the heat from the sun and expand and move around on the bed, but they'll also conduct that heat energy to the plant tissue and damage it severely. So that we know. So if you're going to use weed mats, either burn holes in it, adequate size for the stem of the plant, at least until it gets very mature. Once the plants are very mature, they can lay right on top of the weed mat. And like the broccoli, the cauliflower, the kale, all of them lay on top of the weed mat once the tissue becomes more hardy, like the bark on a tree. Then the underlying tissues, those important xylem and phloem, don't get damaged, and they can conduct the water from the root system up to the leaf for photosynthesis, transpiration, and take all those photosynthetic products and put them down into the root system to feed the microbiome. So that's really important, is to have adequate spacing. Since we put the weed mats basically touching each other in this application, which I won't be doing it that way again, unless I come up with block systems or cut out some type of plastic container or some container to put right where the transplants are going, so the weed fabric can touch each other in between plants. But what I've done, and excuse me for all the perspiration right now, but what I've done as a temporary basis is I've used those 6-inch long 9-gauge galvanized staples that are used to hold the weed fabric down. And I've gone ahead and put those next to each one of the plants that are susceptible at this time. And that keeps the weed mat from actually coming in contact with the stem of the plant, at least until the plant gets to be a good inch in diameter. I also, where the eggplants are, since it's the last row over there, I moved the weed fabric back some. So I'll turn the camera around so you can see just what I did. So that's the way it is. Even where some of these plants might come back, I put those out there. And they're around most of the tomato plants as well, at the base. So hopefully this is showing up on camera. And each one of these bell peppers, hopefully you can see just how these staples are put in place. So in short, yes, the weed mat, if not installed appropriately, as I did inappropriately install this weed mat, it can damage the stem of the plants, the delicate transplants, even after you think they're hardened off enough, as I thought they would be. The other problem I would say is when the weed mat is covering right at the base of the stem of the plant, the pill bugs and the millipedes, they tend to do a nice circumferential munching on the stem of the plant as well, and doing similar damage, but this is thermal injury, the stuff that we see in these plants today. So one of the things I always want to do is show you what doesn't work as well. This I thought was a fantastic idea. I still think it is. We just have to modify our approach, our application. And these real hot days do bear witness for the test results. So if you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. I'd appreciate any feedback that you have. I always enjoy hearing from you folks out there on what you think about the videos that we're producing. And hopefully, I hear thunder in the background. I'm really hoping we get a good soaker. So if this video was of value, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, hit the bell icon if you want to be notified when we post more videos, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. All of those things help us out in the channel. Really appreciate it. And by all means, folks, have a fantastic day. Bye-bye now, and stay cool.